Hi, my name is John Lim. It's a pity that I can't be there with you in person today. So, I'm an SME alumni. I graduated in 2009 from the School of Economics with a second major in corporate communications. Currently, I'm a senior business development manager at Shopify. My role focuses on growing Shopify in Southeast Asia by working with groups and organizations like government agencies, policymakers, trade groups, chamber of commerce, educational institutions, community organizations, associations, and foundations. So back to SMU, yes, 13 years ago in 2009, I was sitting exactly at where you are right now, anxious about life after SMU. So a bit of a brief summary of my career journey so far. I started my career in banking, like most SMU economics and business students back in 2009. I then co-founded a laser tag events business, which later on began to manufacture gaming equipment with AR, VR components. So AR, VR refers to augmented reality, virtual reality. I spent a good 6.5 years doing that, being an entrepreneur and running a small SME. I then joined an exciting Singapore IoT, which stands for Internet of Things, tech startup called Igloo Home, who designs and manufactures smart locks. They have since rebranded and known as Igloo Company. Now, one of the things that drew me to Igloo Home was its global partnership with Airbnb. So, Igloo Home's smart locks solve this painful problem of the Airbnb host needing to pass the house keys to the guests and then collecting the keys back after the guest checks out. So I started as the Singapore general manager, and then I was managing the sales and business development for Southeast Asia by the time I left. Um, at this point in my career, I wanted to learn more about e-commerce and also how bigger organizations work. So I joined Lazada in November 2019, which was a really lucky timing. Because as we all know, in early 2020, COVID-19 came and changed the world in so many ways. E-commerce is one of very few industries that saw an insane surge of demand and also became a lifeline to many small businesses. And that kind of brings me to Shopify. So I've been a fanboy of Shopify, especially on how easy enables businesses of all sizes to sell online. Having been an entrepreneur, I was very attracted to Shopify's mission of empowering and championing entrepreneurship. I recently joined Shopify, very recently in early January 2022. How was the interview process like? Well, I had saved Shopify as a job alert on LinkedIn. And then I saw the job posting in November 2021. And then I submitted my application. Very quickly, the talent acquisition lead from Shopify reached out within a week to schedule an online interview with the hiring manager or my lead, Jonathan. And this is where I felt it was a bit unique about Shopify, because usually for other companies, the TA, or short for talent acquisition, or the HR, they will speak with you first. That's the first round of interview to kind of see whether you're mentally sound or not. And the second unique thing was that, and you can also see this on the Shopify careers website, is the interview format. Shopify calls this the live story interview, where it's more of a two-way conversation to cover your professional and personal experiences. So yeah, my first round was with the hiring manager, and the second round consists of two interviews conducted separately. First was with a technical person or someone with a technical role, and the second person was actually with my hiring manager's manager. So, and that was it, just two rounds. I spoke to around three people, four including the TA, the talent acquisition person, and all this took over 2.5 weeks, which is quite short to be honest. And that's also something that I was quite amazed by. And lastly, before I go, thought I'll leave you with some perspectives about starting your career soon. You guys are probably very familiar with the job portals, and there are also a lot of material on interview tips. So I won't go into this. So yeah, here you go. I think number one is that at the start of your career, there is no better time to try or experiment, because at the start of your career, the opportunity costs are the least. You're not giving up a high paying salary to try something new, to go to a different industry. So, and I urge you that if there's something that you've been curious about trying, um, uh, or wanting to get into, I think there's no better time to do this now. Um, Knowing what you don't want, it's also a part of knowing what you want. An example for me would be, in the beginning, I was curious about doing sales in a bank. I was kind of semi doing it. And by the way, you know Frank at your concourse, I was the first ever student employee that was working there on a part-time basis. I was working as a bank teller. Started in 2005, the very first year when the campus was set up. So yeah, there you go. And during that stint of working part time as a teller at the bank, I was kind of exposed to doing sales in the bank, and I was curious about it as a career, as a first step of my career, and I got it out of the way. Right, I tried it, I applied for it, I got it, and then I realized that it was probably not my cup of tea. So, and on this point, I just want to also say that your qualifications should be an asset, not liability. So don't let your qualifications hold you back from what you want to do, or at least try, especially at the start of your career. Second point is play the long game. Currently in Singapore, the retirement age is 63 from the 1st of July 2022, and there are plans to raise this to 65 by the time of 2030. So, assuming that you are now in your early or mid 20s, that means you have typically worked for at least 40 years on average. And when I say at least, is because the life expectancy of all of us are going to just keep increasing. So there'll be very high chance that we're living up to 100, 110 by the time we get to that stage. So which means that chances are we will have to work for longer for us to support getting older and having a life expectancy getting longer. So play the long game. It's a marathon or a sprint. I will urge you to also be a little more long-sighted, which is to delay short-term rewards for longer-term growth. Invest in your career for the long run, in the form of seeking learning, exposure, and training opportunities early in your career. And also, very important is to have good mentors to learn from. Yeah, I think number three, be open to reaching out to get insider or wider perspectives. Reach out on LinkedIn to ask for coffee chats, or in these days, Zoom calls with people in the companies that you are interested to get into, or even like more experienced folks that you look up to, that you aspire to become in the next few years. And you'll be surprised by how open people are these days. And probably my last sort of perspective is, it's something that I should have adopted it and regret not doing it early in my career, is to save up. You're going to start having disposable income whereas you start your first job. As much as possible, keep as close to your student expenses or your lifestyle right now for as long as possible. Make a deliberate effort to save up. It's very important. Why? Because this prepares you for emergencies like getting redundant down the road, which is common these days, I'll tell you. It will also give you more freedom and flexibility in your career choices down the road. So, topics like this, career change, redefining success, close to my heart. So, in fact, recently I started a podcast where I speak with folks who took the roads less traveled, with unconventional career and life journeys. So a shameless plug here. My podcast name is On My Own Terms podcast. It's available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can also reach out and connect with me on LinkedIn. It's John Lim CY, Charlie Yankee. Enjoy the rest of your remaining days being a student.